Hey everybody. All right, today it's a Sunday, and I thought I would do a video here on the wind up here. We have another. It's actually blowing like crazy right now. If you see the truck shaking around, it's because the wind is actually shaking the truck. Yesterday was pretty bad. Matter of fact, I stopped to get my paperwork here at the office, and when I opened the door, I couldn't close the door. The wind was opening the door so bad or keeping the door blown open. I finally rolled the window down, which cut the resistance down enough to where I could wrestle the door shut. But I thought I'd do a story here. But the first thing out of the bat, I'm a real happy man today. I have the Miss JiggyFly riding with me. So I went and picked her up in Denver yesterday, and she's riding with me. So we're going down the road. Anyway, on my trip to, they gave me a load late last night. The wind during the day, the wind had got less and less and less. But I thought I'd talk about wind a little bit. It's a huge, huge deal. Whenever I watched television back when I did, but I would watch the news and I would listen to truckers talk about I-80 being shut down. I-25 is shut down as well sometimes, but mainly it's I-80. Every time you turn around, you hear it on the news that I-80 is shut down, and I thought it was because of snow or ice or something like that, and sometimes it is. But for the most of the time, I-80 is shut down because of wind. This whole state of Wyoming, the wind is unbelievable, and the wind storms, there's no trees here to block the wind, and that is the big deal about why this Cheyenne terminal pays extra money, is because of the wind. A lot of times you end up having to sit still somewhere. You go out full when you're loaded and you're headed out of the DC here to go make a drop. It's not that big a deal, even if the wind is blowing. There's some tricks to doing that, and I'll cover it in just a second here. But going out is not a big deal. It's when you're coming back empty, that's when the real problem. And yesterday, I brought my wife in from the airport. Of course, we came up I-25 to I-80 and then come over to the DC here. Whenever we got here, they already had me a load assigned and was ready for me to go back down there. So I did all my paperwork and latched onto the trailer and inspections and fuel, and off we went. It maybe was an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. But in the meantime, a truck had blown over right there between mile marker 2 and mile marker 4. There's an exit at each one, but in that stretch of I-25 coming up from Colorado, if you're going to blow over, chances are that's where it's going to happen, and trucks get blown over there all the time. I kept telling my wife, I would point out these empty trucks. I could tell they're empty because they have no seal on them. But I would point out to her, I said, there's an idiot going right there. You see him going 60, 65 miles an hour, and the wind, unbelievable wind. And that they're idiots. I don't know if they just don't know. They don't understand the danger of it. Beats me. They're just, some people think they're invincible, and their trucks, I've never blown over before, I'm not going to blow over now. And they'll be the ones that, one morning last week, there were 4 trucks right there in that same area. One of them was a creek truck. But 4 trucks in that same 2-mile stretch of road that had blown over. And man, it's a common thing here, a real common thing. That's not counting the ones on I-80 that blow over, and I rarely go, for whatever reason, I rarely go out I-80 towards Idaho and Utah, but they shut it down. Every time you turn around, I-80 is shut down, and it's usually not for ice or snow. It's usually for wind. The wind is just so bad here in Wyoming. But here's the tricks. I thought I would, for those of you that find yourself going down the road and you, of course this is for truck drivers, this is not for car drivers, but it works for cars as well, because my Jeep yesterday, the wind was blowing so hard that it was blowing my Jeep all over the road. So it works for that as well. But here's the tricks. I've had these old timers that they live out here, that this is all they do is, and they've done this for years and years and years. They've delivered loads out of this Walmart distribution center. They know the tricks. This is when it pays to pay attention to people. You learn from other drivers, and I'm never am I too old or too proud to take advice from another driver that has been doing this. No matter what the story is, I always like to get advice from other drivers. So the first thing they tell me, and this is going to sound crazy, but if the wind is blowing, you want your speed of your truck plus the wind speed to be less than 100. Keep those two, add them together and be less. So in other words, if the wind is blowing 40 miles an hour, you don't want to go 60 miles an hour. That would be 100. So keep it less than that. You want to drive 50. So 50 and 40 is 90. You're below that 100 mile an hour stretch. That's still no guarantee that a strong gust of wind's not going to blow you over. But for normal wind conditions, that will do it. If you're empty, here's another one. If you're empty going down the road, the best thing you can do is slide your tandems all the way to the back. This prevents your truck from twisting. So if the wind does catch you, it's less likely to twist your truck because the weight is all back there in the back end. So that's another trick that these drivers do to be able to drive and get back to the terminal empty. Slide your tandems to the back and keep your speed down. The harder the wind is blowing, I'm talking about crosswinds, the harder the wind is blowing, the slower your speed needs to be. Now it comes to the point to where when you have gusts of winds that are doing 50 and 60 miles an hour, that's the point to where you cut it off. You say, hey, let's find a safe spot to park. I have seen trucks that have actually blown over sitting still. They think they have found a safe spot to park, and it ain't a safe spot. You got to get out of the wind. So these state troopers out here, they know, they understand. If they see you parked in a spot where you're sheltered from the wind, they're not going to bother you. As a general rule, unless you're out in traffic or you're being stupid about it, they're not going to bother you because they understand. They deal with this every day of their life, and they would rather see you parked somewhere than they had to deal with you being blown over and out there in the wind themselves, dealing with traffic and trying to keep the traffic off of the wreckers that are trying to set you up. These wrecker drivers out here, there is a bunch of companies here in Cheyenne and over towards Laramie and down in Colorado. Big truck wreckers, they're everywhere. But the reason being is because of the snow, ice, and mainly the wind. Wind is a huge deal. So Anyway, we managed to make it out last night. We went all the way down to Colorado Springs and delivered a load down. Well, actually, we had 3 stops down in that area. And we stopped back by and ate. We ate, my wife's telling me, you're going too long here.
I know. Tell about where the wind really blows hard.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm not used to having anybody talking back to me while I'm making a video here. So anyway, we had 3 drops down there in Colorado, in the area of Colorado Springs last night. One place was in a town called Monument, and the Walmart, and right next door to the Walmart is a Texas Roadhouse steakhouse, and we managed to squeak in there right at the last minute, just before closing time, and literally we were their last customers. But they were gracious enough, the young staff in there was gracious enough to have us come in, and we were able to eat a nice steak dinner last night. First time I'd had a real sit-down meal with my wife in quite a long time. So anyway, we're happy to go here. She's writing me a note now. So anyway, the worst wind at the county line. Actually, it's at the state line, and I talked about that. When you're coming up I-24, or I-25, I'm sorry. When you're coming up I-25 from Denver up into Cheyenne, when you cross that state line, it actually starts about maybe 5 miles south of the state line. The wind starts getting worse and worse and worse. I don't know why that particular area seems to be the worst for wind, but once you get past mile marker 4, from mile marker 2 to mile marker 4 in Wyoming, it's like a blast going, and the wind speed almost doubles all of a sudden right there. And I don't know if it's because of the way the hills and the mountains funnel the air. I don't know what causes it. I'm not a meteorologist, but there's another place on up I-25 between Cheyenne and Wheatland that they randomly cut down, or they shut it down as well because the wind gets so bad up there that it'll blow you over. That's the one place that my wheels on the back of my trailer have actually come off the ground. I got blown over, and it gives me a real respect for being blown over. I do not want to get blown over. It's rare that you hear about a driver being hurt because he was blown over. I can't explain that, but it's rare. But it'll tear the truck up, the truck and the trailer's history, once you get blown over. But like I said, mainly it's empty. People that are real light, or they're empty. So anyway, that's really all I had to talk about today, and I'm tickled to death to have Miss JiggyFly riding with me, even if she does hand me notes and distracts me.
Get a Jack Russell Terrier.
Yeah, she's trying to talk me into getting a dog. She sees
Jack Russell Terrier, not just any dog.
Yeah, but she wants me to get a Jack Russell Terrier.
Yes.
But anyway, when it's minus 27 and you got to go out, and the wind blowing like it blows here, and you got to go out and walk a dog, homie, don't do that. Anyway, I don't know about the dog deal, so. But anyway, she thinks I need a companion here in the truck, so I got her. That's my companion. Anyway, my 15 minutes is up. If you're a subscriber to this channel, thank you. I really appreciate you. If you don't subscribe to this channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button down there and becoming a subscriber to this channel. I try to keep the content informative and helpful, and I really like being able to share what I know with others. So thanks again. We appreciate you, and I'll see you out on the road.